And hello, South Florida. Welcome to another live edition of the Real Estate Show. South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show all about the topic of real estate. My name is Eric Willner and I am your host. And we are live here Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week right here where you're listening to us, whether it's on one of the 5 different places that we're on here. We're here on AM 1470 here in the local South Florida area. We are here on FM 95.3, 96.9, and 106.9. We are also live on a number of the radio apps, like the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the Radio.com app, and the Spreaker app. And that's just a short list of the number of apps that are out there. They're free. They're available for your Android, for your iPad, for your Apple devices. And in addition to those, we're also live on our Facebook page. On our Facebook page, you can actually watch as we broadcast our show. And all of those are live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On our Facebook, just remember, all you have to do is go to facebook.com/The Real Estate Show. That's /The Real Estate Show, just like you see above and behind me. And what you can do there is make sure that you give us the thumbs up, like us, and please share us so that more people can hear about what we have to share here on the Real Estate Show. We got a great week, as if you've been listening to us from the very beginning of the week. We start our Mondays on a mission, laying out the agenda, putting up the theme that we're going to talk about. And this week was income, the third of the 3 most important key factors in buying real estate. And I'll say this because I think I can't say this enough, that regardless of what your credit is, regardless of what your down payment is, regardless of what your income is, if you can show me that you can manage your monthly rent payment, I can show you that you'll be able to manage your monthly house payment, and you too can own a piece of the American dream. In fact, I got some conversation around that whole topic a little bit later on as we cover some of our headlines. Now, today is our midweek report where we'll be talking about some of the updates in the news. I got a lot of stuff to cover. But before I get to that, just a couple of housekeeping. Remember, the Real Estate Show here, even though we talk about the market, we talk about the stock market, we talk about the economy in general, the Real Estate Show is really about Main Street. It's really about your street. And we want to make sure that we demystify the whole concept of real estate so that we make the real estate, like I said, a lot more accessible to every single person here. Now, from the 5 different ways, on the radio, you can call, click, or text us. Remember that we have the Real Estate Show Smart Line, and that number is 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. And as I give out different keywords, so you want to kind of plug that into your phone, tattoo it on your wrist, whatever you want to do, there's 2 numbers that you always want to remember. Number 1 is our smart line, the 561-861-2366. And if you ever have any questions, want to schedule an appointment, all you have to do is dial our toll-free number, which is 888-595-7779. That's 888-595-7779. And we'll be happy to get back with you and talk to you more about my favorite subject topic of real estate. A couple other housekeeping things also is, remember, in addition to our 5 shows, 5 days a week, live at 5, we also have a number of workshops. Monday night, we had our Equity Accelerator workshop. Tuesday, our Credit Accelerator workshop. And then Wednesday, we are having our landlord coaching call. And for 2 weeks, this week and next week, I'm opening up that coaching call for free to anybody, including non-members. So if you want to kind of check in to see what it's like, then text the word landlord to 561-861-2366 for us to get you that special phone number and password for that coaching call. And one last thing here is our Thursday night. That's tomorrow night. Is going to be our next in this series of our university series. Now, it's very appropriate because I knew we were going to be leading into this topic of income. And yesterday, or actually on Monday, we announced the brand new, the Universal Residential Lending application, the URLA 2020. Even though it's 2021, it was devised in 2020 and actually just released after a number of beta tests and sort of pre-flights, and it came out with a number of really interesting developments there, which we're going to talk about in today's show, because it really breaks out the change that's happened in the economy and the difference in the different types of income, whether you have one single job, whether you have multiple jobs, which is now becoming more and more. One job might not be enough to get by. Number two, whether you're self-employed or when you have income from other sources. What are other sources? Royalties, rents, and a number of other things. So it's a whole new world out there, and all I can say is that you ought to be taking advantage of those things. On that same note, and this is going to come up later on in our news media, because when we talk about some of the headlines, obviously one of the big pieces of the new stimulus package is the new minimum wage proposal. We are looking at a possible $15 an hour minimum wage, almost double in a lot of places. And I would love to know what your opinion is on that subject. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it going to put more people out of work when companies can't afford to pay that minimum wage, or they can't afford to pay everybody the minimum wage? Are they going to have to make choices? So I'd love to hear from you either on our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com, or on our Facebook page. Comment there in the comments of our live stream. I'd love to hear what your opinion is on that whole topic. So that is one of the big headlines of the news, of course, is that new application form. Now, you probably don't hear a lot about that in the news on TV or all of the live transmissions, radio and so forth, because that only applies to people who are buying a home using a loan. But right now in America, that's a lot of people. As I've been sharing with you, the number of sales, we've hit record high in the number of sales, the amount of the sales, the quantity of the sales. So when I say amount and quantity, one is the dollar price of the property, and then the number of units from, let's say, the same time a year ago. So the real estate market, there's no secret, there's no revelation here saying that the real estate market is very hot. But the fact of the matter is that you're looking at a lot of people making application for mortgage. Mortgage brokers have never been busier than they are right now. And in the middle of the busiest market, the government has now switched it up on them. And effective March 1st, if you didn't already make application, then you now have to start in the new application. So word to the wise, make sure that 6 p.m. if you're in California, 9 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. And each week we've been talking about a different source of income, especially in today's environment where there are a lot of people involved in their own little gig economies, their freelance or side hustle, whatever you want to call it. And let me just tell you that if you've missed them, well, the first one we talked about, the debt shredder, that was the first in our university series. And we're going to be bringing that one back because by popular demand, that one was an amazing one. Then we talked about web centers. If you wanted to get into digital marketing, social media marketing, we had a great presentation by the director of Market America Web Centers, and he gave a presentation on how pretty much anybody, whether you had a good background or a bad background or no background in all things internet, then you could still start a business simply by making the introductions and letting the pros do the work. Again, if you want to join us on our next university series, type the word university to 561-861-2366. By the way, all these things that I'm talking about are all 100% free. Nothing is being sold right here. This is all tons of information for you. Then the following week, we had Conquer Entertainment as our guest speaker, and they were talking about lifestyle marketing. You hear about these people who are earning a living on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. We talk about people who are musicians that are looking at how to spread their art and their trade, and you can combine the two and actually monetize it. And that was our last week. So if you missed that one, type in the word university series, just the word university, to the number that I just gave out, and we can even give you a link to the ones that you missed. Now, tomorrow night, a very, very interesting one. And this is one that might touch a few people in the heartstrings. We have a very special guest who's going to talk about how to help nonprofit organizations while helping yourself. In other words, how to help nonprofit organizations raise money, which is what they're all about, and you can get compensated in the process. So it'll be an interesting conversation. We're going to show you a really out of the box way of doing that. And then, the week after that, we're going to come back to the real estate way of making more money in our university series. So again, if you want to be on the list to hear about the university series, just type in the word university to 561-861-2366. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about now, this is very, very related to our last week's conversation when we were talking about down payment assistance programs and affordable housing. Well, this just announced that the Federal Housing Finance Agency, that is the FHFA, Federal Housing Finance Agency, has more than doubled. And I told you this was coming earlier. And so here is the initial introduction. They have more than doubled Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's affordable housing funds. This is key because this is real dollars. Nothing happens until the funds get allocated. And they announced that just on Monday. So I'm bringing that to you right now, pretty hot off the press. And FHFA head Mark Calabria authorized the disbursement of $1.09 billion for the GSEs, and those are the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that we were just talking about, for the GSEs, affordable housing allocations for this coming year. It's the largest ever amount that the FHFA has ever dispersed, and a twofold increase from last year. So just to give you an idea, what an emphasis that is going into creating affordable housing in a rising market where it's the biggest challenge right now is, first of all, finding something, winning the bids, and then being able to afford it. So according to the agency's press release, $711 million of the funds will go to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, aka HUD, their housing trust fund, an increase from $326 million the year before. Now they're at $711 million. Meanwhile, $383 million will go to the Department of Treasury's Capital Magnet Fund, $175 million more than what was provided last year, and more than $1 billion of the money dispersed today is going to help produce and preserve affordable housing throughout the country, according to Calabria. The record increase in housing prices last year exacerbated the affordable housing shortage. To help increase the supply of affordable housing in our communities, the FHFA remains steadfast in support of the Housing Trust Fund. So what is that money going to be used for? It's going to be allocated every year. They allocate that money to different state and state designated entities. Okay, hello, guess where some of it's going for acquisition, new construction, reconstruction, and or rehabilitation of non-luxury housing. So this is the first of the headlines. I want to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to jump into a whole bunch more stuff. We got more news that we can cover, all in the air. I just wanted to get that affordable housing because we've been waiting for that allocation to come out. And those of you who are following us regarding our down payment assistance programs and some of the other affordable housing measures that we're taking, it's good news. It's very good news. Anyway, you're listening to The Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Yeah, that's really good news. Now, we want to help get more of that money into the hands of first-time home buyers, which is, remember our mission, 100 new first-time home buyers. And so we've got the goods. We want to get that in the hands and directed through investors who are catering to first-time home buyers. A little green tea here. So how's everybody out there? It's funny, I can't always read what's going on in the, let's see here. See if I can flip that around. That's better. And then I don't want to touch anything else because I'll end up messing it up. So how you doing there, Felipe? Eliana. So we got people from all over. We got here, always our local South Florida market. We got the California market, the Brazil market. It's all good. I'm going to come back. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here on The Real Estate Show, we are South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show about real estate. And today on our midweek report, we are covering a lot of the headlines as they relate to real estate, and in particular to what we're talking about this week, which is income. And I share with you some updates on the new residential real estate loan application. Biden signed off on limiting, there's been negotiation going on now in Washington over the new stimulus check and the new program called the American Rescue Plan. Now, listen to some of the things I'm going to tell you, because remember, this is supposed to be let's call it a rescue bill to help out our economy. And in particular, those people who are in distress. And so we allocated $25 billion, which I thought was really, basically a spit in the bucket for what, if we're really talking about the housing crisis that's going on out there. Now, this was good news, what we talked about for affordable housing, the money, but notice that had nothing to do with the American Rescue Plan as it was. Now, there are some things that were attached to the American Rescue Bill, which you'll see have nothing to do with COVID-19. And, we saw this money for Cambodia. We saw this money for Vietnam. And I'm thinking, the COVID problem that we're experiencing is the COVID problem that we are experiencing, and that is right here in the United States. But anyway, so in order to try to move this bill forward, and the discussion, we've seen as high as a $10,000 stimulus bill, which got no play whatsoever. We've seen $2,000 a month, which didn't get a lot of play, although it makes some good sense. If you're going to talk about rescuing and doing stimulus, remember, we talked about last week in our midweek report how the stimulus, as it applied to credit, put more money in people's savings account, giving them a little bit of cushion. That's good. Remember, the tax money that you're getting is your money back. Presumably, you paid taxes. The next thing that the last stimulus did was help people pay down their credit card bills. So this idea of paying a larger amount, or addressing some of the American debt. I'm not trying to solve debt for people who were irresponsible with their debt, but those who are temporarily out of work, temporarily prohibited from working. This is where the stimulus package really should be, if it's truly a stimulus package. Otherwise, it's just another political package that needs to have the same budget considerations as anyone else. But back to the president, he signed off on limiting the $1,400 checks. Now, so that looks like that's the number that you're going to see. The first one was $1,200, and now we're going to see this one to be $1,400, a small increase from that one. Now, those earning, this is going to be, it's going to be capped, absolute capped at $80,000. If you make more than $80,000, don't wait by the mailbox because the check's not coming. In fact, they actually are going to start a little phase out, which obviously is going to be a very precipitous phase out at $75,000. So at up to $75,000, you should get the whole $1,400. If you make more than $75,000, but between $75,000 and $80,000, there'll be a phase out, and at $80,000, it's lights out, no check for you if that's you. And that's for single filers, and for joint filers, it's 160. So basically double the number with no phase out. We can get into more details later, but I think this is important because this looks like it's more likely to pass. By the way, just for those of you keeping track and keeping count, the House already approved the bill in its present form. They did that last week, last Saturday, they approved the bill. So I heard people say, oh, look, the stimulus bill was approved. Well, yes, just like the other stimulus bills that never got paid were approved in the House but never made it through the Senate. And that was before, all of the Washington hoopla in January. Now, the Biden plan, as it's now being called, it was passed by the House, and that it was passed at 1.9 trillion. That's the one. So just if you're trying to keep track of all these different stimuli, that's what you're talking about. 1.9 trillion passed by the House last Saturday. According to surveys right now, roughly 70% of Americans are behind that, but I think it's because they don't understand all of it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer insists help is on the way, which I think he's been saying that for a long time. The Senate is going to debate now. The Senate is getting this bill to debate. They're going to talk about that today. They're in there, although I think I heard something on the news that because of some news of an alleged plot on the Capitol, that they scrapped the session and they may have to reschedule that maybe for tomorrow or the day after. The March 14th is the deadline cited for that bill to be passed. I'm not sure what happens if they have to go back to the starting point, or what happens if they passes the March 14th. But it's very important for a couple of other reasons. Number one is the extension of unemployment and the increased federal unemployment for the pandemic. And so that's a critical thing there. A couple of other things that I'm not going to have time for. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll bring that into our Friday wrap up. I'll add a couple more things there, what the criteria is for the stimulus check, how you get it paid, and how you get it into your mailbox or into your bank account. Anyway, income is the topic of the week. We'll be talking more about income real estate on our About the Money edition of the Real Estate Show tomorrow. Don't forget the number to text is 561-861-2366. University was the word today. And that's it for us. The music is in. I'm out. Until tomorrow, drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a great day. Bye-bye. Man, that time goes fast. All right, thank you. I cannot believe how fast that time goes. Anyway, hang up the radio station as we wind up and then unwind each one of our shows. Brian, hey there, and hello. By the way, I'd love to hear an update on how the debt shredder is working for you. I will talk to you soon.